Hey everyone, and welcome to Biking with Campbell. Today we are doing a review on the Moto Morini X-Cape. But before I get into that, I just want to tell you about a few changes to the channel. So this channel, I'm changing the name to Biking with Campbell because that's what I always say at the beginning of my videos. And I am also just going to put any other content I make, the photography stuff, and any other kind of like little bits and pieces of kind of weird stuff. I'm starting a new channel, and I'm going to put my stuff on there, and that channel is called Ramble with Campbell, because as you'll know, I do ramble on a bit. And also, if you're from England, you'll know that rambling is hiking and stuff, so hiking, taking photos, that kind of thing. So if you are interested in that other content, please check out my other channel and sub to it, just so I can start building that one up as well. Not going to worry too much about that one as far as trying to monetize it. This one is the serious channel. I'm really trying to get this to a point where I can monetize it. So if you haven't subbed already, please sub. Please like, please share, and that'll really help me out. At just over 400 subscribers, and I want to get to that 500 and then that 1,000 so I can get started. Anyway, so everybody else who's already subbed, thanks heaps for your support. So without further ado, let's get into the review.
I need to go fast, oh so fast, faster than the rest, I need to go fast, oh so fast, fast like lightning, oh yeah.
Well, feels not too good. Yep, that was a bit hurty. As I enter Action Sports on the North Shore and take a look at the Moto Morini X-Cape, I'm kind of blown away by the fit and finish. It's Honda-like. It's very European in its exotic details. It's certainly better than anything else at this price point, and possibly bikes that are considerably more expensive. Quite a nice dash on it. Let's see this button here. Riding away, you're immediately struck with the lack of power, but I have just jumped off the Africa Twin, and that has twice the power of the X-Cape, and this is the Lamb's version with only 47 horsepower. The full power version's got 61. My initial impressions of the brakes is that there's a slight sponginess, but I feel like the lever is pretty good overall. Most people aren't going to notice, especially Lamb's riders. The riding ergonomics are excellent, especially for my 5'10", 178cm frame. Sitting's comfortable, decent leg room, standing is perfect, if slightly more compact compared to the Africa Twin. But for my height, I don't think I'd reach for another set of bars. These bars have the perfect mix of attack and comfort. They're kind of Goldilocks bars, not too high, they're not too low, they're just right. My heels are pushed slightly wide by the pillion foot peg hangers. Handling on the street is really good. It turns in nicely, it's nicely balanced. It does have a little bit of that tall bike feel, but overall it's good. At standstill, it does feel top heavy, and its weight is 232 kilos wet, which explains why it feels very similar to the Africa Twin. The twin-cylinder inline 649cc Ninja 650 engine is fuel injected by Bosch. It's got 45 kilowatts, approximately 61 horsepower at 8,500 RPM, but the Lamb's version's only got 47 horse. Makes 56 newton meters of torque, 41.3 pounds per foot at 7,000 RPM. It's got a 6-speed box. Forks are 50mm Mazocchis, and they've got 160mm of travel, and they're fully adjustable. The rear shock has preload and rebound, but it only has 135mm of travel. The brakes are 2-piston Brembos, and it's got a 2-piston caliper out the rear. Wheels are 19-inch front and 17-inch rear, and the seat height is about 32.3 inches or 148 centimeters. The tank is 4.7 gallons US, or 18 litres for us in the real money. Dry weight is 213 kilos and the wet weight is 232 kilos. As I accelerate away from the lights and hard onto the motorway, I'm initially disappointed, but once it gets into the higher revs, it pulls much harder and it seems to be achieving a lot with its 47 horsepower. The engine's quite buzzy, which is odd because I don't remember the Ninja 650 feeling like this, but memory is notoriously unreliable and it all depends on what you rode last. Also, it is brand new, it's got very few Ks on it, so perhaps it'll loosen up and smooth out a bit. At motorway speeds it is evident that the weather protection is quite good, even in these horrendously windy conditions that I rode it in. It's certainly better than my Africa Twin, although I am running my Africa Twin without a windscreen. I'm really getting to enjoy the X-Cape, when unfortunately it feels like my ride is over before it's even began. Clearly I am not ready to get off the excellent X-Cape, and that's always a very good sign. I couldn't wait to get off the Desert X and get it back to the shop, for instance, whilst the X-Cape has me really wanting more. The ride is extended, however, as I get lost, even though the directions were as simple as right. I must have got one of my rights mixed up or with a left. Well, I think I'm going to have to stop and bloody get my phone sorted out because I don't know where the hell I am. Okay, just stop, get my phone out and see if I can get me back there. A U-turn highlights a slight lack of steering lock and I get a small fright as I hit the steering stops. Oh, well, yeah, it's got okay lock. That was gave me a little bit of a scare there where I hit the lock. I wasn't expecting that. This isn't going to be a problem for owners as it didn't prevent a tight turn and it's just one of those things that you get used to with your own bike. But it is something to bear in mind. The last thing to do is try some emergency braking and see just how good these brakes are. Yeah, front brake on this is good. Very good. Actually, that was one finger braking. Yeah, nice. Good brakes. At this point, I have a feel for the brakes, and they're excellent. Great power, great feel. So I find a spot with no traffic behind me, and absolutely smash the front lever and the rear brake. With aggressive enough input, I finally do get that irritating pulse through the rear lever, which up to now has been just fine. But nothing happens up front, just tons of rapid stopping power. It's really nice. A couple more very aggressive attempts fails to actuate the front ABS, and it is wet and very slippery. I think this is testament to a great setup. The forks, the tyres and the brakes, they're all working perfectly in harmony. As I pull back into the drive, I'm pretty gutted to get off the X-Cape. What a great bike. So there's my thoughts on the Moto Morini, but let's get into the good, the bad and the ugly to give you an overview of my final thoughts on the Moto Morini X-Cape. Okay, what about the good? Now there's a lot of good things to say about the Moto Morini X-Cape. I'm really impressed with the beautiful finish and all of the detailings. That is really sweet, especially on what's sort of considered a budget bike, an entry-level bike. So yeah, it's really up to a high standard. The ergonomics on the bike are really excellent. For my 5'10", I think it's 178 centimeter height, I found it awesome sitting. It's really comfortable. The seat's nice. Obviously I only took it for a really short ride, so you'd need to take it for a longer ride or have a look online and see what people are saying about the seat, but I thought it was good. And the handlebar position sitting's great, and then when you stand, it's really excellent, to the point where even though I'm on my third set of bars on the Africa Twin and still considering another set of bars again on the Moto Morini, I don't think I'd change the bars. I think they are, voila, it's very good. The brakes are excellent, really excellent. Heaps of stopping power, very good feel at the lever, and probably really suitable for a learner rider or an intermediate rider. So you've still got that feel, you've still got that power, you've still got a lot of sort of immediate power at the lever, but it's not snatchy or bitey. although these days most setups aren't. But anyway, the brakes are really top notch. I was super impressed with how they work with the forks, and the tyres that it comes on are really sticky. I really like how the ABS is non-intrusive. I never got the front to activate in any noticeable way. It just stuck really well even in those very wet slippery conditions at the end where I was braking pretty much as hard as I dared, to be honest. So really good. A little bit of pulsing from the rear lever, but I mean I was literally just slamming my foot on that back brake as hard as I could, and yeah, you're always going to get that. The other thing to remember is this bike is incredible value for money compared to, say, something like the V-Strom 650. It is less expensive, a lot better decked out, way prettier in my opinion, and the detailing's a lot nicer. It's got better suspension, better brakes than the V-Strom, and if you had a full power version I think you probably wouldn't notice too much difference in the power. I'm going to do a full comparo between the DL650 V-Strom and this bike very soon, so keep your eyes open for that. Okay, on with the bad. So some of the things that maybe are not quite perfect about the X-Cape, I'm being a bit picky here, I'm not dissing it in any way, shape or form, but some of the things that could be better are, I think the seat height is arguably a little bit tall for a bike with this little ground clearance. It's not going to be a problem if you're doing gravel roads and stuff, and if you're my height and you're used to tall bikes, it's not going to be an issue. Feels like very similar height from the seat of the pants as, say, my Africa Twin, possibly even a little bit shorter. It feels like it's somewhere between the Africa Twin when the seat's on its standard position versus where it's on the low position, sort of falls in there. So it's not super tall, but I just think it's a little bit tall considering that the thing has not got tons of ground clearance. Because of the overall weight of the bike and how it carries it, I feel like it's a bit top heavy, especially for a bike of this engine capacity. I think if you're looking at 600s and bikes like that, you're really looking for a bike that either carries its weight low or is lighter than a big bike, and the X-Cape is quite heavy. It's pretty similar weight to my Africa Twin, so I think maybe that's not so great. Okay, what about the ugly? Are there any uglies? I think one of the things that's most problematic with this bike are the foot peg hangers. So the rider's pegs sit on a foot peg hanger that then sweeps back, and is also the foot peg hanger for the pillion pegs, and the exhaust also hangs off that. So trying to eliminate those would be really tricky, the way they sit on the frame of the bike. It would be really difficult, I think, to find an alternative solution. Who knows? I mean, if they sell enough of these, aftermarket may come up with something. Maybe Moto Morini will look at changing that in the future. Another thing that's a bit of a problem in New Zealand, not so much overseas, is we don't get the full power version here, so we only get the 47 brake horsepower version. As I said previously, when you've really got it revving hard, it doesn't feel too bad, but that low power is also going to be a little bit prohibitive as far as trying to take it further off-road. You're just not going to have that low-end grunt for doing hill climbs and stuff. You can probably overcome that with a bit of gearing, but considering the weight of the bike and the fact that the Ninja 650 motor, or effectively what is a Ninja 650 motor, tends to be a more high revving engine compared to, say, something like the V-Strom 650, that's always going to be a bit of a hurdle, but it's not really what this bike's for. I think with this bike's ground clearance, what you're really looking at is a touring adventure bike on a budget that you can be really proud of, and it would be ideal in gravel. So whilst that low power output is going to be a hindrance in some circumstances, it would probably be excellent as a gravel road bike, especially if you're just venturing into gravel, because the way the power builds is really flat. So if you want to you know, feel comfortable on gravel, not be caught out by, you know, say the power of something more powerful, and also maybe even, you know, begin to learn to like slide that back wheel a little bit. It would probably be amazing for that. So I think for the market that this bike is aimed at, people who want a cheap touring bike, well, I shouldn't say cheap, makes it sound kind of low budget. I think a budget friendly motorcycle that they can tour on, that they can be really proud of, that's going to be good on gravel roads, that could, you know, do a bit of easy dirt road, you know, at a sensible pace if you're just trying to, you know, get to a campsite or something like that, or go down a four-wheel drive track. You'd have no trouble with this bike. Anyway, I can't recommend it enough. I can't recommend the guys over the shore enough. So once again, many thanks to you guys. Here's their details. And yeah, get out there, try Moto Morini, especially if you're in the market for a Lamb's bike. I think it's a bit of a no-brainer. I think if you're thinking about this as a Lamb's bike, an adventure bike, a touring bike, and you're comparing it to anything else, I think you'd be mad to not at least go and have a look at this and have a ride on one. I think you'll probably come away having purchased one. It's that good. Anyway guys, thanks very much. That's my ramble. Don't forget, if you like my other content, check out Ramble with Campbell. Big content on that up there pretty soon, and I'll just be adding some of the old videos that I made. Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks very much for your support. If you're still with me, cheers very much. Please remember to subscribe and like, and maybe comment. If you've got any comments, please comment. And all that interaction is really good for my channel. Cool. Thanks very much everyone, and we'll see you all again soon. Biking with Campbell. Bye. Okay. We'll see you later. You can go now. Thanks for coming. See you all later. Come back again, you all here. Cheers.